marathons the way they did when they were younger. And what happens to, like, I think just when I turned 50, I started to notice that some of it was just age. You know, it was just overworking it for years and years and years to where no matter what I do, it's not going to ever be the voice you had in your 20s, you know, and it's just part of what it is. But you make the best of it, and you know, some people come up to me after gigs and say, "Oh, I love the way your voice is now. It's that whiskey soaked, you know,
yeah.
got so much personality and character." And I turn around and say, "Yeah, it's called fucked." It feels simple.
I'm the Kathleen Turner of rock and roll.
Yeah, my voice is just fucked. Exactly.
I can relate, buddy. I can relate. Like, I used to, you know, it reminds me, I can compare this, you know, to your experience. My karaoke bar days, you know what I mean? I used to sing every night, you know, do a lot of Aerosmith, a lot of, you know, it really hurt myself, but, you know, for me, I had to bring it in for the 20 people in my bar in Burbank, you know what I mean? Like, really, you know, impress them.
Yeah,
it was worth the risk. It was worth the risk. And I took singing lessons when I was younger. So I had this instructor who used to be on Flipper, and he was a singer and a diver. And this guy I would be his last lesson every like Tuesday. And he was like, you know, he had a walker and everything. And I had to walk him to his car. He'd always try to grab my junk and like try to kiss me and stuff like that. But I didn't mind because my voice was improving. I always blocked it and like waved it off. And I thought, man, when I'm his age, I want to have that same sex drive. You know what I mean? But so speaking of touring, what's like, when are you guys like coming around? You know what I mean? Like after the COVID thing, is that the deal?
Yes, I'm hoping, you know, like all musicians, we got devastated by this, and all sorts of performers all got shut down. It's sort of almost, sometimes it can be annoying to hear people on telly these days talking about, you know, our business, the restaurant business or the bar business, you know, we got hit the hardest. And I'm thinking, well, you know, you still have to go business. You know, we got completely shut down. But I think the hospitality and the entertainment industry, we got so decimated by this that, and again, it's not, you know, something that is, you know, a decision you make like, well, I just don't feel like it's safe to go. You know, we're government mandated not to have our jobs right now, but we're just not allowed to. And, so we, you know, it makes it very, very difficult. We just have to wait, and we're waiting for things way out of our control to change before we can get back at it. So I'm, you know, we're trying to write again now and sort of get some material together so we could do an album or something. A lot of my musician friends have been either extremely creative or have done absolutely nothing, because it has been just a weird headspace to be in. It hasn't been the most creative headspace. But we're getting there, and we still got, you know, a lot of shows booked for next year now, and a lot of the shows just sort of moved from this year to next year. So hopefully we will be right back in the fives, as they say, by either late spring or summer. I'm hoping late spring. I'm hoping we can start to at least do some sort of gigs. But I'm just not really into the idea of the smaller crowd thing, you know, the 25% capacity, because it's literally like you're creating the worst show you've ever had over and over again.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Stand up, like I can stand up is so much easier with 500 people than it is for 15 people.
Yeah, exactly. And what's worse is when you start off like we all do with hardly anybody, and then you move up, and then it's sort of a sign of your involvement and your success is the size of your audience. That's just the way it goes. So, you know, we've all done plenty of theatre gigs that were at 25% capacity, not because of COVID, because they were shite. because people think you're shite. And, you know, you'd show up at these gigs where there's nobody there, and the morale beating you take and all the rest. So then all of a sudden you're being told, no, you've got to get yourself in the headspace. There's only 25% here because that's all we were allowed to sell. And you're like, oh, that sounds way better. It's nothing to do with me. But then you go out there and exactly. You go out there and you realize then that it's just very difficult to connect, and especially when you're used to really, the audience plays a much, as you know very well as a stand-up, the audience plays a much bigger role in a show than they even realize. And it can be the make or break. People say to me all the time, where's your favorite place, city? Where's your favorite town? And it's got nothing to do with the town. It's got nothing to do with the architecture or the wonderful harbor they have, or the great history. It's all about who fucking showed up and were they into it or not.
Right. You don't care about the fucking museum.
Exactly. You could be in the most disgusting, horrendous town in the world, but as long as they're cheering for me, as long as they know my songs.
Let's get nostalgic then. So pre-COVID, when you guys were touring, you gotta have a road story for me.
So yes, I was thinking about this because I knew you wanted me to tell you a road story, and I was trying to think of one that would protect the innocent, protect the guilty, more importantly, and be something that I could still walk around the world without being attacked for somebody telling me, I heard you on Cocktails, and you can't believe you told that story. So there were a lot of criteria I had to look at. So I decided I'm going to tell you this one about when we were open for Jethro Tull, which we did for about 3 years. We're still great friends with Ian Anderson. Was one of the few people who really supported the band and just gave us an amazing break by taking us around America. And then he took us to Europe and then back to the States. And then we've done a couple of one-offs since then. But there was this one time in Manhattan.
Awesome.
When we were all just staying with a night off. And
awesome. Jethro Tull, Manhattan, you guys.
What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? We're going to get that story after this break, you guys. We'll be right back with Keith Roberts and the Young Dubs. Hang in there.
We got this great opportunity to open for Jethro Tull all around the country and all around Europe. And so I think this might have been the second tour of America where we come back from Europe. So we were great friends with all their crew and the band, and it was, we had a great vibe going and everybody was getting along great and the gigs were huge and the theaters were all sold out and it was like a highlight for us. So we ended up in New York and I can't remember the theater now. It's a fairly famous theater, but for some reason the name is missing me right now. But we ended up
Carnegie Hall?
No, it wasn't Carnegie Hall. It was one that was sort of though in line of it's the one that the Allman Brothers did a whole big long stint in and everything. It's very famous. Maybe I'll think about it before the end. But so it ended up with some reason we got in the night before, and I think we were in our bus, but we'd been in the bus for ages, and so we knew a bunch of heads that lived in Manhattan, and the idea was if we went out the night before the gig, we wouldn't be able to find our way back to New Jersey where I think the bus was parked. So we were sort of being split up amongst different friends. Whoever had room at a house would take, a couple of band members back there and a few others. So my mate had a roommate move out and had a spare room, but there was nothing in the place. And he said, there's nothing there, but you're welcome to crash there. And we knew we'd be out all night drinking anyway. It would only be a crash pad. So we get back there. I head into that basic empty room, no sheets, pillows, nothing. I just pass out hammered, probably about 5 o'clock in the morning or something. And all I remember is him coming in at about 7 and saying to me, hey man, you got to go. I got to go to work. And I said, dude, you got to be joking me, man. You can't expect me to leave. Why can't I just stay and leave when I leave? And he goes, oh, you don't know. New York's not like that. You have to lock the door as you leave. And I've only got the one key. And so he was just pleading with me to leave. And I was not having any of it. I just kept going, man, I can't get out of the bed. I can't. I'm dying right now. I'm still shit-faced. I've nowhere to go. I can't get back to Jersey. So eventually, after multiple pleading, he reluctantly agreed. Gave me the key, gave me the whole explanation. And just one of these high-rise New York place, tiny little apartments. So off he goes. I go back to sleep, delighted. End up waking up about, let's say, 1 o'clock. And hop out at the bed, and I think, all right. And as you do in the morning, you're thinking first things first. You head on into the loo. And I remember this bathroom had nothing in it. It had been completely emptied. So there was, normally you see, people's toiletries or whatever. There was nothing in there, which will play a little role in a minute. So I go in, push the door, click the little lock button just out of habit, and get out my business. Next thing you know, I get up, go to open the door, and the door won't open. And so I go, that's weird. So I start pulling on the door handle and bouncing it around a bit and nothing. And I'm thinking, man, I'm not a panicky type of person. So I go, that's fucking weird. He never mentioned anything about the door being dodgy or anything. So I go, all right. So I keep pulling. I keep thinking that shit. Then I start looking around. There's got to be something I could poke into the little hole there. Maybe release this thing. Well, there's nothing in this bathroom whatsoever.
You're trying to MacGyver your situation right now.
I'm trying to MacGyver my situation out of the place. So eventually, I just sort of sit down for a minute. Now, bear in mind, I'm in my underwear, right? I sit down and I go, okay, calm down. There's a way to do this. My phone's outside. Everything's outside. No way to call it, nothing. So I start looking out the window. The window has bars on it, and I'm up about 5 floors, and all I can see is a courtyard. The window's a little bit open, and I just thought to myself, like, can you shout for help? Is that ridiculous? Is that an overreaction? What if the door opens? So picture, now it's about an hour that I've been sitting in here. It's also summertime. No air conditioning. It's getting hot. So now I'm fucking freaking out. And I'm pulling the fucking door like nuts. And I'm looking around, I'm shouting out, help, help, out the window. Nobody's fucking paying any attention. Nothing. So I think probably about 2 hours went by. And at this point, I realized how I react in a situation like this. Not well. I'm sweating balls. I'm nervous. I've got a gig that night, huge gig. I'm going on at like 7. We had to sound check at 3 or 4 or something. Now I'm starting to fucking really have heart palpitations. I'm pulling on the door, but eventually, I don't know what happened. You know the cistern on top of the toilet, where the water is. I pick up the lid of the tank, and I smash the fucking door down. I smash a hole through this door violently, not calmly, in a state of extreme panic, until I've knocked a hole that I can fit out. I fall out of this hole onto the ground. I'm fucking breathing heavy. I'm in full on mental breakdown, right? So I run into the room. I grab my clothes. I get dressed. I fucking leave, right? Lock the door behind me, leg it downstairs, grab a taxi, take a taxi to the venue. Get to the venue. So the bus is at the venue now, so all my clothes are there and all, so that's good. Get there. The band sees me. They go, "What happened?" I go, "I can't fucking talk about it right now. I've got to decompress. Just, I'll tell you in a minute." So I go, we do the sound check. Now, in the taxi on the way to the venue, I call the guy and I go, "Hey," and he goes, "Hey man, everything okay?" I go, "Listen, I'm sorry. I can't go into much detail now. All I can tell you is I'll pay for it, but I had to damage your bathroom door." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "You'll get a fright when you go home. Just remember, I'm going to replace the door, and that's all I can tell you." And he's like, "Wait a minute." He goes, "I didn't want to leave you there." And I go, "I know you didn't." I'm totally calm at this point. I go, "I know you didn't. It's all my fault, but I'll pay for it." I go, "But just out of coincidence, like, have you had trouble with that door before?" And he goes, "Well, I mean, it sticks every now and again." And I just fucking hung up the phone, right? So I get through the sound check. Now I'm backstage with the English crew, who are just brilliant English sense of humor. And I'm telling the story, and they're all captivated. They're all around me. And I'm like, "Now it's 2 fucking hours, and I'm sweating, and nobody's answering my call, and I'm thinking I'm going to be stuck there the rest of my life. I now live in this bathroom in New York." And, and he's the one guy, lighting guy, is just listening to me. And then I call the guy in the taxi on the way here, and he says the door sticks now and again. And that was his answer. And the English guy goes, "Well, I hope you told him next time that door sticks, he can get out that big fucking hole you made." And the door cost me $250 to get the door replaced. This was 2003, I think. And
that's like $500 in today's New York money.
Exactly. And it's a big joke now amongst everybody, but it was one of the most surreal, freaky. And I had to get on stage that night and play to a full theater. And I just halfway through the gig, I just started laughing. And the band's looking at me. Nobody can tell what's happening. And then I just said to the audience, "Someday I'll explain what happened today, but you have a great city here, and just be assured I will never forget it."
Oh man, that's hilarious.
And I just left it at that. But that was something.
Were you able to go to the bathroom since then without a security guard, some smart ass going, "All right, I'll go with you just to make sure you can get out"?
No, but it started a large career of not locking the fucking door anymore. And so every time somebody walks in on me,